Hello everyone, welcome to Planet Geology. In this video, we will go through GATE 2023 solutions. The official answer key is out and it is the time for you to analyze how your exam went. Okay, even if it went like excellent, if it went not so good, or even if it was horrible, you still have to analyze it, because in any case you have to be prepared whatever comes next. Even if you're expecting rank 1 in GATE, always be prepared for the unexpected, because you don't know what is going to happen. With GATE you only got qualifying marks. Okay, your next target is to get the job. Okay, so this is the time where you should analyze what went wrong and then basically strategize for the future based on how you performed in the exam. Also in this video lecture we will go through all the questions including the aptitude section, and also there are a few questions in which the answer key doesn't seem to provide the right answer. So there are some questions which can be challenged. We will be discussing those questions as well. So let's start the discussion. So with the aptitude section first. So the first question is pretty easy. Okay, so most of you would have been able to answer this question. So what this question asks is basically the village. So this is an English question, fill in the blank. The village was nestled in a green spot, and then there is fill in the blank, and then it says oceans and hills. So there are two things. Okay, oceans and hills. So the basically preposition that you have to use here. Okay, so through, in, at, between. So it will be between. Okay, so the village was nestled in a green spot between the oceans and the hills, because when you have two things, okay, and less nestled, you can think of it as situated, okay, in between oceans and hills. Okay, next question. Disagree, protest, agree. What will be the basically fill in the blank here? So when you disagree with something, you may protest. Okay, and when you agree with something, okay, so it is not an antonym or synonym kind of thing. It is basically kind of, you have to find analogy, okay, to this. So when you agree with something, you're not going to refuse it. Okay, if it was like disagree and accept, it was written, then it would have been opposite. Okay, you're doing opposite, you're disagreeing but still accepting, then maybe refuse would have been correct. But here it is disagree, protest, means they're analogous to one another. If you disagree with something, your response would be to protest. Similarly, if you agree with something, your response will not be to refuse it. Pretext is when something is, let's say you want to do something, okay, and then you create a pretext for that, okay, beforehand. So that will not be the thing here. When you agree with something, you may recommend it. Refute means you do not agree with it, something, then you will refute it. Okay. So for example, if someone has published his findings in a research paper, you may, if you don't agree with those, you may refute those findings. But here the best option is recommend. All right. Now moving on to question number 3. So the question number 3 says, a frabjous number is defined as a 3-digit number with all digits odd and no two adjacent digits being the same. So what are the odd digits that we have? We have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. So they're defining this frabjous number as having these. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in total. Okay. So 5 possible digits. Okay, 5 possible digits, and you have to create a 3-digit number out of this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that no two adjacent digits are the same. Okay, let's say you have chosen this first digit as any number. So let's say they have given you example of 137. Okay, so if you have chosen this digit as 1, so this digit cannot be 1. Okay, it can be 3, 5, 7 or 9. Okay, so here they have given 3, and now this adjacent digit that you have chosen here, this digit cannot be 3. It can be any of those 1, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so what they have given is 7. Okay, so now you have to find out how much such frabjous numbers exist. It is not a very difficult question, just like we did here. So let's say for the first position, you have all the possible options. Okay, here for example, we had chosen 1. So you have 5 possible options here. Okay, so I'm not forming a number now, I'm writing number of options. Okay, so there are 5 options, so I will write n here so that you know, like, it is not a number 5, but possibly you have 5 possibilities here. Okay, Now let's say for example we had chosen here 1. So how many possibilities were left? Only 4 possibilities were left because 1 cannot exist here. So you write 4 here. Now how many possibilities are there for the third digit? Many of you may think like because we have already chosen 2 numbers, so 3 possibilities will be left. That is not correct, because the only restriction here is that whatever number you put here on this digit, okay, this number cannot be that. So for example, if you put here 3, we can still put 1 over there because it will even 1 3 1, no adjacent 2 digits are same. Okay, so here except this number 3, in this case, okay, all 4 numbers are possible, so it will also be 4. So you multiply these, so it becomes 80. Okay, so not a very difficult question. All right, the next one, which one of the following statements must be true about the mean and the median score of all the candidates appearing in the GATE 2023? Okay, so basically this is a stat based question, so you should know definition of mean and median. Okay, so the median is at least as large as the median. That is not a given. Okay, so the median can be basically smaller than the mean as well. Okay, so if you have a distribution like this, okay, so in this kind of distribution, your median, okay, so your median maybe, so this is your mode. Okay, so your mean could be somewhere here and median could be somewhere here. If the distribution is like this, okay, so then these could be reversed. So your mode could be here, median could be here, and mean could be here. Okay, so this option is wrong. The mean is at least as large as the median. Okay, so the same is true. It is not given. Their relationship could be any of these. So for the same reason, because you could have either of these arrangements, so it is not true as well. At most, half of the candidates have a score that is larger than the median, and at most half of the candidates have a score that is larger than the mean. Okay, so mean does not deal with overall basically division into percentile. Median is basically a 50th percentile score. So median means, okay, it is not a perfect statement. This is not a definition of median. They're asking which of them is true. Okay, they're not asking definition of median. Definition of median is 50% of the students have marks greater than that, 50% have marks less than that. Okay, so there is nothing at most in that, but at most this statement is at least true. Okay, it is not definition of median, but this statement is true. Okay, so this option so is correct. So let me remove that. Okay, so here the correct answer will be option number C. Okay, now this question, if you're geology students, you should be able to solve it. It is very, very simple. It is just like you have to draw the contours, and you know, like if you project this hill onto a sheet of paper, and you know, in the center you will have higher value contours, and on the edges you will have lower value contours, and these will all be basically not intersecting each other. So this option is gone because they are intersecting each other. Now this one, you can see here that the peak of the hill is a little bit shifted towards the left. Okay, so it is not towards the right, it is not in the center, it is towards the left. So the correct option will be Q. So the correct answer is B here. Okay, this is a little bit tricky question. Okay, so we will try to solve it. You can use, for example, Venn diagrams to solve it, but we will try to analyze this paragraph. Okay, very clearly. Residency is a famous housing complex with many well-established individuals among its residents. So please analyze each and every statement very carefully. Famous housing complex with many well-established individuals among its residents. So one thing is, not all are well-established, but many of them are well-established. Okay, a recent survey conducted among the residents of the complex revealed that all those residents who are well established, so again this says all those residents who are well established in their respective fields happen to be academicians. So all those who are well established are academicians. It does not mean all academicians are well established. Okay, so if you think of this, so for example, if this is, we will try to draw the Venn diagram, but we'll try to understand this a little bit. Okay, so let's say these are all well established. Okay, so people. Okay, so all those residents, so let's say these are all the residents of the complex. Okay, or we will come to that. Let's say these happen to be academicians. Okay, this circle denotes basically different academicians in here. Okay, so I hope you already know how to draw a Venn diagram. Let's say there's different people, they're well established. Okay, now, sorry, they're not well established, they are academicians just. Now imagine that some of those academicians are of this housing complex are well established. Okay, some of them may not be well established if you're something like this. Okay, so you can think of these academicians, okay, that are well established. These ones outside of it are not well established. So these ones may not be well established. Will this statement be true still? What we have written here, this statement, yes, that statement will still be true, because what it says is all these people, okay, who are well established. Okay, so these people who are well established, so these are these people who are well established. Okay, let me write that also, well established. Okay, so all those who are well established are academicians. If I had drawn it like this, let's say if you draw it like this, and that well established people like this, so what it says is, so let's say these are academicians and these are well established people. So it would mean that some of the academicians are well established, some of the academicians are not well established, and there are some people who are not academicians but are still well established. Okay, but this is not the situation. What it says is all those residents who are well established happen to be academicians. Okay, so it is this scenario, not this scenario. Okay, the survey also revealed that the most of these academicians are authors of some best-selling books. Again, this next statement tells you that most of these academicians are authors of best-selling books. Some best-selling, not all. Okay, so here most means again not all. So again keep this in mind, not all. Okay, and here also they are not all best-selling books are written by these authors. Okay, so they have all the best-selling books that exist in the world, they are not written by this. So one thing you have to notice, you don't have to apply your own common sense in this. You have to choose an answer based on what information is given to you. Okay, now we will analyze these options. Okay, some residents of the complex who are well established in their field are also authors of some best-selling books. Okay, so what it says is some of the residents, that is true, who are well established, not all are well established, that part is correct, in their field. Okay, so it says who are well established are also, means all of them are author of best-selling books. Okay, so again you go to this statement, most of, not all. So this statement is wrong. Not all of them are authors of best-selling books. Okay, all academicians residing in the complex are well established in their field. That is not true. Okay, all those who are well established are academicians, but all those who are academicians are not necessarily well established. For example, these ones are not well established, maybe. Okay, that it could be there, but the question doesn't say that. Okay, the paragraph doesn't say that. That is not true. Now, some authors of best-selling books are residents of the complex who are well established in their fields. Okay, so some authors of best-selling books are residents of the complex. That part is true. Okay, that part is true. Who are all well established in their field. Now you may say that the questions, what the paragraph says is, out of these well established people, okay, some of them are authors of best-selling books, of some of the best-selling books. Okay, so you may say that, okay, the second part is also correct, but the thing is, it says that only this statement C is implying that only those who are well established are the bestsellers. Okay, so who are well established in their field? There could be some here also. Okay, there could be some residents who are not even academicians. Okay, so let's draw a bigger circle which says residents. Okay, so the paragraph neither basically says that they are authors, neither it rejects. Okay, it does not provide any information on that part, whether people who are, let's say, residents who are not well established, who are not academicians, are they best selling or not? The author, the paragraph does not provide any information, so this is not necessarily true. Now, option number D, some academicians residing in the complex are well established in their field. That I think is pretty obvious. If you have gone to see, there is no way you can refute this statement that there are some academicians in the complex who are well established in their field, which is this circle here. Okay, if you directly go to option number D, you will be able to basically choose that this is definitely correct. Okay, question number 7. Ankita has to climb 5 stairs at the ground while respecting the following rules. At any stage, Ankita can move either 1 up or 2 stairs up. So either she can take 1 step or 2 steps. At any stage she cannot move to a lower step. So she is going up only. Okay, not going down. Now, basically what they have given you is that if she has to take 1 step, okay, so this Fn is the number of basically function which denotes number of possible ways, okay, to go to step that. Okay, so let's say, let's just imagine, okay, so you have a 5-step stair, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There will be one more. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what the question is saying is, what is Fn, number of possible ways, okay, to reach nth step. So nth step would be, so for example, if she's taking, actually I have written it, first would be here, because this is 1 step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so number of possible ways to reach 1. There is only one possible way. Okay, so she can go like this. So F1 is equal to 1. Okay, now let's say, okay, I don't want to write this again and again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll take a copy of this here. Okay, so if she has to take 2 steps, let's say in this one, she can go like this, 1 step here and then take 1 more step. Okay, or she could directly take 2 steps also, because that is also possible. Okay, she can either move 1 or 2 stairs up. So how many possible ways are there? So there is one possible way, which is this green one, and then there is blue one. So F2, that is why they have written is 2. Okay, so F2 is basically function of 2, means where 2 is the nth step. Okay, so there are 2 ways to go here. Now you can keep doing this. You can calculate this for 5th also. So students, you can draw like 5th and try to calculate it, but that will be very time consuming. Okay, the way you should do it is use the prior information that you already have. Okay, so for example, now for calculating 3rd step number 3, okay, what you could do is, there is one way, okay, you can reach step number 1. Okay, so there is this is one way. You cannot go to step number 1 using 2 ways. Okay, there is just one way to go there. Now imagine, okay, you have to go from, you break down the problem. Now if you're already standing here, you have to go to 3rd step. Okay, so we are trying to calculate F3, so you have to end up here. Now from here, okay, it is basically 2 steps away. Okay, so instead of calculating this again, that she can go like this from here or she can go like this, you directly use F2. If she has to take 2 steps, there are 2 possible ways. So you can do directly 1 plus 2 equals to 3. Or you could have done like this, that she can either go hop, 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 or she can go hop, small hop, and then big hop. Okay, so and then these are three ways. Okay, to go to step number 3. Okay, so basically actually, okay, we have drawn only two possible ways yet. Okay, not 3. So this is one way only. Okay, this 3 we have calculated, but to draw it F3. Okay, so how do we do it is, once she reaches there, so this is one way only, this is not two ways. So she can reach like this, or what she can do is, once she has reached here, okay, other possibility is that she can directly jump 2 steps to step number 2. Okay, so she can directly go there, okay, to this third, and then come here. Okay, so she will end up at step number 3. Here we were talking about step number 2, and here we are talking about step number 1 only. Okay, so it is basically one way. Okay, and then there are 2 possible ways. Okay, so it becomes a total of 3 ways. Okay, let me copy one more. Okay, now to calculate step number 4. Okay, for step number 4, okay, either she can go like this and then end up here like this. Okay, so if in the first go she takes 2 steps, okay, she ends up at this step. Okay, or she can take 1 step here, then if she takes 2 steps and then she can take 1 step. Okay, so you can keep doing it like this. Okay, so the easy way to do these kind of problems is, okay, so the easy way is, let's say she ends up here, okay, on step number 2. Okay, so she ends up here on step number 2. So how many ways will be there? Okay, so for her to end on step number 2, basically overall we had already seen that F3 is equal to 3. Okay, so that part we have already seen. Okay, so now what she can do is she can go to this, okay, F1. So if her first step is this, now how many steps are left? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we will always calculate what her first step is. So 3 steps remaining. Okay, how many ways can you do those 3 steps? Okay, there are 3 ways. Let's say if her first step is this one, if she takes 2 steps in the first instance, so now she has to take 1, 2 more. Okay, so if the choice here was, you got like 3 more ways to do this. Okay, if her first step is a double step, then 2 more steps remain, and F2 is equal to 2. So in total there are 2 plus 3 equals to 5 ways to do this. Okay, now let's go to the last situation, okay, where you have to do 5th step. So this situation also, what you can do is, if her first step is this, you do those 2 cases only, or her first step is this. Okay, if her first step is this, she has to reach step number 5. So the remaining steps are 4. Okay, if her first step is that, let me use green color for this, 4 steps remain. If her first step is red, then 3 steps remain. Okay, so there are 2 choices. So overall we are calculating those 2 choices. So the total F5 will be equals to basically F4 plus F3. Okay, so because you know from here she has 3 more steps to take, and from here she has 4 more steps to take. So after this first step, there are F4 possibilities in this case, sorry, F3 possibilities in this case, and F4 possibilities in this case. So in total, we have already seen that this is equal to 5 plus 3 equals to 8. Okay, so it was a lengthy explanation because of how we were trying to solve it, but in the exam, this way you can do it actually pretty quickly. You don't have to draw each and every possible scenario. So the correct answer here will be 8. Okay. Next is also a paragraph based question. Okay, so we will read through this paragraph very slowly. Okay, don't try to rush through this in the exam also. Don't think that this is a very big paragraph, so I will skip it or I will try to read it very quickly. Okay, you can, if you want, you can sometimes read the options here. Okay, so what it says is the information contained in DNA is used to synthesize proteins that are necessary for functioning of life. Okay, DNA is composed of 4 nucleotides A, T, C, G. The information contained in DNA can then be thought of as a sequence of 4 nucleotides A, T, C, G. DNA has coding and non-coding regions. Okay, coding regions. So this is the important part. Okay, what are these coding regions? So coding regions where the sequence of these nucleotides are read in groups of 3s to produce individual amino acid. It constitutes only 2% of the human DNA. For example, the triplet of nucleotides CCG, it codes for amino acid. So they've given you one example, glycine, where triplet GCA codes for amino acid proline. Multiple amino acids and then basically joined together to form protein. So what it is saying is that there is information in the DNA in terms of nucleotides. Okay, those nucleotides carry information about basically the amino acids. So 3 nucleotides, okay, will form a sequence. That sequence basically codes for a single amino acid. Now you can join multiple amino acids. So in DNA there are not just 3 nucleotides, there will be multiple. So in groups of 3s you can join those amino acids to give you proteins. Okay, so based only on the information in the passage above, you don't have to apply your own mind, your own knowledge of genetics. Okay, you have to read the paragraph. Which of the following statements can be logically inferred with certainty? Okay, it should not be a guesswork, it should not be probable, it is with certainty. So first statement is the majority of human DNA has no role in synthesis of proteins. Okay, so let's analyze this statement. Does the paragraph say that? So the paragraph says that the coding regions which sequence for nucleotides are read in groups of 3s to produce individual amino acid. These constitute only 2% of the DNA. What it means is 98% of DNA, okay, sequence does not, okay, code, okay, is sequence is non-coding. Okay, means it does not carry information regarding which amino acids will be there in the sequence. Okay, so many of you may think that this is a correct statement, that majority of the DNA has no role in protein synthesis because 98% is majority. Okay, so what it says is that it has no role in protein synthesis. But the statement does not say. It says it does not code directly. Role does not mean only coding, okay, for sequence. There could be other roles also. Okay, maybe it plays some other role, let's say in correction of those sequences. Okay, or for example, sometimes if this is just like assuming. So for example, it could there could be a role like which parts of the DNA will be active, which part will not be active. Okay, even if it is not coding, there are other roles it can play. So this is an incorrect statement. This is not a correct statement. The function of 98% of the human DNA is not understood. This paragraph does not talk about it. The rest 98%. It does not say it is understood. It does not say it is not understood. It does not say anything about it. Okay, so this is also wrong inference. So here neither 1 nor 2. D will be correct. Okay, so basically I have written wrong answer. I will write this D. Okay, all right. Which one of the given figures PQRS represents the graph of the following function f equals to x plus 2 minus x minus 1? Now we can solve this question by putting some values. For example, you can put here minus 2, here you can put plus 1, because that is where this modulus function changes. Because the thing is, mod of minus 2 is also equal to 2. And mod of 2 is equal to 2. Okay, so whenever this number x inside, okay, when you're trying to calculate when fx equals to x, okay, fx is equal to, let's say, mod x. You can write it as fx equals to minus x and x. Okay, and the thing is, like, if x is less than 0, if x is greater than equal to 0. Okay, why do we write that? Let's say because if x equals to minus 2, okay, so if x is equal to minus 2, then this part will be applicable. So you'll do minus of minus 2, it will become positive. If x equals to plus 2, okay, so then you'll do basically plus of plus 2 equals to is also 2, okay, which we can see here in both the cases. So you can solve it this way also. You can put, for example, minus 2 here, plus 1. Okay, so what values you will get? So you can try to solve this that way, but we will try to solve it in a easy way. We will just, these kind of questions, you can put some values in there. Let's say if we put x equals to 0, what will you get? If you put x equals to 0 here, in this case, so we will write that part again. So it is x plus 2 minus of x minus 1. And you have to choose the correct graph for this. So this is the question. So if x equals to 0, okay, so this function fx will become, okay, it will be mod of 2 minus mod of minus 1. Okay, so which will be mod of 2 is 2. Okay, mod of minus 1 will be 1. So it will be 2 minus 1 equals to 1. Okay, so basically it is equal to 1. So at 0, the value should be 1. So here you can see here at 0, the value is 0. So this option is not correct. Here at 0, they have given value equals to 3. That is not correct. This option at 0, you can see here, has value 1. So this is possibly correct. And this also has value 1. So this is also possibly correct. Okay. Now the other thing is, you can see here both these graphs, it can reach here. Okay. You can see here at 3, it flattens on this side at 3. This one is also flattening on this side at 3. So checking this side will not give us the answer. Okay, so you don't waste time on that. Just by looking at these options, basically there should be some change at minus 2. Okay, so there should be an inflection point. So just looking at that, I may choose like this is the correct answer. Okay, P is the correct answer. But let's be like confident in our answer. Let's put the value of minus 2 in there. Okay, or let's even put minus 3. What happens? Because even at minus 2, they are both giving the same value. Does it keep on increasing beyond this, or does it flatten? So the option P is like this, whereas option R goes like this. Okay, so if you put, let's say, minus 3 here, what value you will get? Okay, so, or you can put minus 5 over there. Okay, let's calculate f minus 4. Okay, on that side. So what will you get? You will get minus of minus 4 plus 2 minus 4 minus 1. Okay, so you will get basically minus 4 plus 2 will be minus 2, and you take mod of that, you'll get 2. Then minus of minus 4, it will be 5, so you'll get this. So it will be minus 3 mod, which will become equals to 3. So you can see here at f4, it should be equal to 3. So this one becomes very large, so it is not the correct answer. This is the correct answer. You can check for f equals to minus 5 also. You will see, you will get the same answer. You can put value of x as minus 5. So correct answer here is basically P. Okay, an opaque cylinder shown below is suspended in the path of a parallel beam of light such that its shadow is cast on a screen oriented perpendicular to direction of beam of light. So what this question is saying is, let's say there is a screen, okay, and you have a beam of light coming perpendicular to the screen. Okay, the cylinder can be reoriented. So this is the key part. The cylinder can be reoriented in any direction of the light beam. So you cannot change the light beam or the screen. The light beam and screen is like this only. What you have with you is, you have this cylinder. Okay, let me draw with the red color. Okay, so this cylinder, if you put it in beam of light, so you can orient it in different ways, and basically what will be its shadow. So for example, if you orient it this way, the shadow will be like P. Okay, if you orient it this way, the shadow will be R. So P and R are definitely possible. Okay, but if you, let's say, put it like this, inclined, okay, so how will it appear? You will not get this angle like you see here. Okay, because it will be somewhere in between this and this. If you have seen these two are possible, okay, so if it is inclined, the shape will be somewhere in between, which is Q. Okay, so the one that is not possible is S. You have to choose the not possible one, not the ones which are possible. P, Q, R are possible. This is not possible. And you can see here where will this curvature come from, because it can see this curvature over here on this side. Okay. All right. Now that is the aptitude part that is done. Okay. So if you like this part, please pause and like this video and share it with your friends. Okay. And now we will proceed to the geology part. So we will do a few questions from geology in part 1, and then the remaining ones we will do as part 2. Okay. So this question is pretty easy. This has come many times in the past. Okay. So this question just asks you which one of the following is not a or basically which of the following is a chronostratigraphic unit. So this geochronology, chronostratigraphy unit, whether it is GSI exam, whether it is GATE exam, they ask it many times. Okay. So your chronostratigraphic units are ionotherm, aerotherm, system, series, stage, substage. Okay. So the question is asking, is a chronostratigraphic unit. So which of these does occur here? That is stage. Okay. First of all, member is not even a chronostratigraphic unit. That is a lithostratigraphic unit. Okay. You should know these parts also. Where do they actually occur? So this is lithostratigraphic unit. Acme zone is basically biozone. So it is a biostratigraphic unit. Period, here it is a geochronologic unit. So sometimes they ask about, like, to match them, which is equivalent to series, it is epoch. So those kind of questions. This time they asked which of them is a chronostratigraphic unit. This kind of question they asked last year in GSI prelims also. During contact metamorphism with increase in temperature, what happens? So during contact metamorphism, one thing you should know, like small grains. Okay, this is a numerical also in your gate paper only. So I will explain it there also mathematically, but you should know that if you have a small grain, okay, its surface area by volume, let's say A by V, I will write A by V is high. So for a given volume, it has high surface area. And if you have a large grain, okay, so let's say it is also a spherical shape, its A by B will be low. Okay. So this has implications in many things. So for example, your planktic foraminifera, okay, they tend to be spherical in shape. Even like that is not related to size, but sphere in turn will have, for example, lower surface area by volume ratio. Okay. So their shell is there, otherwise they will not be buoyant. Planktic foraminifera. Okay, they want less surface area, means that shell is occupying less area, so they are less heavy. Okay. Animals in colder climates, they tend to be bigger and also a little bit rounder, because they want to reduce their surface area by volume ratio, because through larger surface area you can release more heat. It does not mean that they have smaller surface area. They have smaller surface area by volume ratio, because in the volume you are generating heat, and through the surface area you're losing heat. So you don't want to lose many heat in colder climates. Animals in warmer climates, they tend to be, again, this is not like you can take like a squirrel from colder climates and then compare it with the basically elephant from tropical climates. But if you look in general, for example, Siberian tiger is bigger than Bengal tiger. Okay. So, and then if sometimes even if they are not larger, they will be more round in shape. Similarly, this has implication in basically your crystallography and mineralogy also, because you can see here, if there is an atom on the inside of a mineral, it has attraction from all directions. So, and if some atom is present at the surface, it has attraction only from half of the side. Okay. So this is exposed. So generally, okay, smaller grains, okay, they have high surface area by volume ratio, so they have low stability. And these have high stability. So therefore, what happens is, like during metamorphism, this, like, it's not just during metamorphism, it is also processed during igneous, like let's say formation of rocks. Okay, this is called Ostwald ripening. For example, you would have heard of this. So basically what happens is smaller grains due to Oswald ripening, they grow, okay. They tend to grow in size by consuming, let's say, nearby grains. Why? Because they want to reduce their overall this reactive surface area, okay. So they will have a lot. If you have a lot of smaller grains, you can see here, if in this grain you had these many small grains occupying the same volume, they will have so much of surface area. Okay, all this is the surface, this is the surface. So that is why it is better to have a single larger grain. Okay, so if area by volume ratio, and that happens during progressive metamorphism also, your grains tend to become bigger with progressive metamorphism. So if for larger grains your area by volume ratio will reduce, means what will happen to the volume by area ratio? So the ratio of volume to surface area, it will increase. Okay, it will increase. So this is wrong. The reaction kinematics becomes slower. No, at higher temperature, kinetics means rate of reaction. Okay, so if temperature increases, rate also increases. Hydrous becomes more stable. No. Okay, hydrous minerals are stable at low temperature. At higher temperature, what happens is, if temperature increases, dehydration occurs. So this option is also wrong. So all these options are wrong. Okay, the next one is, what is dimension of dynamic viscosity? Okay, so there are two concepts. One of them is dynamic viscosity. If you have gone through Planet Geology courses, we have discussed this so many times. We have derived this also. Okay, so you would have solved this. You saw this question in test series, your practice quizzes. And then kinematic viscosity. We have the concept of kinematic viscosity. When you divide dynamic viscosity by density, you get basically the kinematic viscosity. So dynamic viscosity is very simply defined. Let's say you have a fluid flowing like this. Okay, you have a fluid flowing like this. If the fluid flow is like this, what will happen is, basically, let's say this is your bed. Okay, you have highest velocity here and you have lowest velocity near the bed. At the bed it will be 0. Okay, so your velocity is increasing. So between different layers of, let's say this is water or any other fluid, there is basically relative motion. Okay, it is kind of like you have a shear strain. Okay, like you have shear strain, because one part is moving forward faster, another one is lagging behind. So what that results in? That results in friction. Let's say if you move your hands like this, there will be friction in between your hands. That is what causes viscosity. Okay. And how this is defined, this force that I'm talking about, frictional force or viscous force here, it is given by F equals to mu, which is basically your dynamic viscosity, which this question is asking, into area, okay, du by dy, where this is your, basically, see, this is the y part, okay, the, let's say, height, okay, and this axis is the velocity axis. Okay, so it is not x and y axis, it is velocity. Horizontal axis is velocity and this is y axis. Okay, so how is velocity changing with this height? Okay, so this is velocity change. This will have velocity dimensions. This will have length dimension. Okay, or height or length or thickness. Okay, so if you write it in terms of directions, you know, so mu, if you have to write mu, first of all, it will become F, okay, then dy divided by F by A, and this will be du. Now you just write those. Force is mass into acceleration. Okay, area is length square, y we have already seen, height is length, and velocity is length per unit time. And we can write there, m, acceleration is length per unit time squared per minus 2 divided by L squared into L by LT minus 1. So this L will get cancelled here. This L will reduce this power and this will become minus 1 instead of minus 2. So your answer will be ml minus 1 t minus 1. Okay, now you can derive the formula for kinematic viscosity also based on this. Okay, so the correct answer here will be B. Question number 14th. At depth of 440 km in the earth, which of the following occurs? Conversion of most silicate to perovskite structure. No, that is not true. That happens below 660 kilometers. Conversion of plagioclase peridotite to spinel peridotite. Okay, that we will discuss about this, but this does not seem incorrect. Transformation of olivine to spinel structure. Okay, that also seems correct. Conversion of spinel peridotite to plagioclase peridotite. At those deep depths, you will not see plagioclase. Plagioclase will be stable at shallower depths. So this is definitely wrong. So these two are definitely wrong. Now between B and C, conversion of plagioclase peridotite to spinel peridotite. Okay, so that is not a very common phase that you will see. Okay, simply what you have is peridotite is made up of olivine. Okay, plagioclase is not that abundant a mineral in mantle. Okay, so you have this olivine to spinel structure transformation takes place. Okay, so the actual proper transformation will take place around below even 550 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what happens is during these stages, let me show you this image. Okay, it is basically talking about that near the transition zone. So the transition zone starts at 410 kilometers. So it is the start of transition zone. Okay, so what happens is this olivine, it converts to wetsleyite. Okay, and then ringwoodite, this below 520. So actually the proper spinel is ringwoodite. Okay, if someone wants to challenge this question, you can still challenge it. Okay, because the proper spinel transformation is taking place at 520. But this wetsleyite is also called the beta modified spinel. Okay, so it is also, you can think of as kind of spinel. But if you want to try your luck, if you have not got this question correct, you can try to challenge this one as well. But there is like a 50-50 chance that your challenge would be accepted or not. Okay, proper spinel transformation, that is ringwoodite, is proper spinel. It is at 520 kilometers. Okay, this one is pretty easy question. I think most of you should know, like which of the following planets is closest to Earth in terms of radius, not in terms of distance. Okay, so the correct answer here is Venus. Okay, Venus is basically almost the same size as Earth, and even the Venus day is almost 24 hours. So its day is also almost similar to that of the Earth. The thing is, Venus is very, very hot. It is hotter than even Mercury, which is the closest planet to the Sun. The reason is because of the greenhouse effect on Venus. On Venus, the greenhouse effect is very large. Okay, but you can see here Mercury is much smaller. Okay, Venus is almost equal. Mars is also smaller, but not as small as Mercury, and Neptune is larger than Earth. Okay, so you can see here Mercury is 9 kilometers, which is much small. Earth is 6371 kilometers in radius, and Venus is 6051 kilometers. It's not exactly same, but roughly same. Okay. Okay, question number 16. Variation of Bouguer anomaly obtained along a profile after applying all necessary corrections. Okay. So basically, see, variations in gravity on Earth. We study value of 9.81, 9.79, 9.8. Okay, that is an average value. Okay, gravity varies on Earth from place to place. It varies with height. It varies with latitude. If you go towards, like, let's say poles from equator, the value of gravity increases. Towards equator, it decreases. Okay, if you go inside the Earth, okay, it increases. So these are the things which affect gravity. So when we do any gravitational survey, we want to find high density material inside the Earth. Okay, but if all these other factors are also affecting your gravity reading, how do you know if, let's say, you find high gravity in some place? How do you know if that high gravity is because you have moved northwards or because you are measuring it below the datum? Okay, so to find gravity anomalies, you have to eliminate these variations so that you can find your basically feature of interest. So you know what is Bouguer anomaly. So here they are talking about Bouguer anomaly. It is basically, okay, so it is G observed minus G lambda, means expected gravity value at a given latitude. So that is kind of like you are applying latitude correction. Okay, and then what happens is, as you move above the ground, what happens to your gravity? What is the effect of increasing height? It decreases gravity. Okay, so the correction applied would be opposite. If something is decreasing gravity, you have to correct for it, so you will add free air correction. Okay, now that free air correction that you added, you brought it, basically you said that this free air correction at that height I'm measuring, I did this. In free air correction, you assume that, okay, in free air correction, you assume that if this is your datum, okay, and this is your station. In between it is empty. That is why it is called free air. There is no mass. But if let's say you are taking it on a plateau, so then there is mass for mass here. So you have to account for that plateau. Okay. So here you then basically subtract what is called Bouguer correction from it. But now you may say that whatever you have subtracted here, okay, maybe it is not a plateau, maybe it is a hill. So there is terrain here. So basically maybe you have subtracted too much. So you have to add back. So you add terrain correction. Okay. So when you calculate Bouguer anomaly, you have already accounted for latitude, you have already accounted for height, you have already accounted for excess mass, you have already accounted for terrain. So after applying Bouguer anomaly, okay, or basically after applying all those corrections in Bouguer anomaly, what you are left with is, it is the variations in gravity that you will see. They are not due to topographic undulations because you have already corrected for it. They are not due to increase in density of crustal blocks with depth. Okay, that is also not the case because that will affect gravity in all positions. It is lateral density variation, means with moving horizontally sideways, there is change in density. And if there is change in density, means if density increases, means mass increases. So you will see higher gravity value over there. Vertical density contrast across Moho, no, that is basically true for all the earth. So that is also not the case. Okay. This is a problematic question. You can challenge it if you want. Okay. So the heat production QR of a granitic rock due to decay of radioactive elements, uranium, thorium, potassium, having concentration CuC, concentration of uranium is Cu, concentration of thorium is Cth, concentration of potassium is Ck, respectively, is given by the expression QR equals to alpha Cu, beta Th plus gamma Ck. So what it is saying is, you have a rock in which concentration, this is concentration of uranium, this is concentration of thorium, this is concentration of potassium. Okay. So you can see here, higher the concentration of uranium, higher will be the heat generated. So all you are doing is you are adding up basically contributions of uranium, thorium and potassium to the heat production. So higher the concentration, higher will be the heat production. Now uranium, if uranium is present in rock in a given concentration, it is not that it will produce heat at the same amount as thorium or as potassium. Okay. So these are those coefficients or constants. Okay. Maybe uranium is generating more heat than thorium. Okay. So what will be the correct answer here? So I mean, different sources, you'll see these values are given slightly differently. Okay. But based on, let's say, one of the papers, okay, let me give you, if you want, you can refer to this one. So the values that have been referred to here, and you'll find variations in these values based on like which paper do you follow. Okay. But you can cite this paper. So what values they have given is, this one is 0.097, this is 0.026, and this is 0.035. Now you may ask, like, how would you have remembered these values? So basically what you can do is, you can actually look at the half-life. Okay. So the half-life of thorium. Okay. Now it is saying concentration is same. You don't say like thorium half-life is less or more, so it would have already decayed. No, we are not talking about that, because that part is taken care of by the concentration. Let's say if they are all present in equal concentration, which will release more heat, which is decaying faster. Okay. So thorium, okay, it has a half-life of about 14 billion years. Potassium has a half-life of about 1.3 billion years. Uranium has a half-life of 4.5 billion years. So basically, you may think like potassium will contribute the most here. Okay. But the thing is, these values dictate that uranium is basically decaying the most. Okay. And also what will depend is when they're breaking. Okay. It is not just like the half-life, but also what is the delta change in mass. You know, Me equals to mc square. So how much mass is decayed? So thorium is like, uranium is much heavier than potassium. Okay. So you can think of their like atomic weights. So that is how I think how they have given this answer as A based on atomic weights. But based on these values, it says like the answer could be C as well. Okay. So A greater than B is less than gamma. So if you want to challenge this question, you can challenge it. But on the explanation here, Generally uranium and thorium are bigger in size, so their delta M, that is mass destroyed during this reaction, could also be bigger. Which of the following Phanerozoic periods has the shortest duration of time? This is a fact-based question. Okay, so you should know the geological time scale. At least basically different eras and periods are something that should be on your fingertips, and their ages as well. And you can see here basically why why Silurian has the shortest time duration. So of all these periods that are given in Cretaceous, you would have seen like many times it has come in question that it has the largest time duration of any period. Okay, so here it is, you can see here is Silurian is only 24 million years approximately, whereas all others are of longer time duration. Based on the given mineral proportions, which of the following statements is correct? So you have to choose the correct statement. Okay, so out of A, B, C, D, it is asking like which one is felsic, which one is more mafic. Okay, so you can see here olivine, CPX, OPX, that is a ultra mafic composition. Okay, plagioclase, alkali feldspar quartz, biotite, plagioclase, alkali feldspar quartz. So these are more felsic to intermediate composition. Now presence of biotite, biotite is a magnesium bearing mineral. Okay, so plagioclase is present in both the cases, alkali feldspar is present in both the cases, quartz is present in the both the cases. So this will be more intermediate to felsic, and this is properly felsic. Okay, or at least more felsic than this biotite, especially if this plagioclase is albite variety. Okay, then it will be a felsic rock. So based on this, you can see that the correct option will be A, that Y is more felsic compared to X and Z. X is not more felsic, that is wrong. X is almost ultramafic. Z is more felsic, that is because of presence of biotite. It is not more felsic than Y. It is more felsic than X definitely. Y is more felsic than felsic, and Z is most mafic. So Y is most felsic. Okay, so and it says Z is most mafic. So yeah, this part is incorrect. X is most mafic. Okay, all right. The correct sequence of electromagnetic radiations in terms of increasing wavelength. Pretty easy question. You should already know this part. Okay, so I'm not even going to explain this. I will just draw this electromagnetic spectrum here, and you can see this one. Okay, so which one of them? Now the only thing here is that because this is a multiple correct answer type, okay, so you have to they didn't say like choose all correct options. You have to basically guess it from the question language only, that correct sequences. Okay, so the correct sequences here is gamma ray has less wavelength than UV, is less than infrared, and X-rays have less wavelength than visible and less than thermal. This is not true because microwave have more wavelength than visible light. Okay, this part is true. And D is also not true because microwave have more wavelength than thermal infrared. Okay, and thermal infrared has more wavelength than near infrared. So both the parts are incorrect here.